Recording in progress.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Plymouth Conservation Commission meeting. Today is January 13th, 2026, and the time is 7:01 p.m. Tonight you have myself, Sean Anderson, Jamie Carpenter, Paul Churchill, Paul Diencourt, Mara Flaherty, and Maury Morrison. On staff, we'll have Patrick Farrer, Deborah Emerly. And this is a reminder, this is being recorded, and anyone here wishing to make public comment outside of what's on the agenda, please contact staff, myself, during the week, and we can get it added to a future agenda. First up, we'll have Certificate of Compliance, 22 and 24 Knights Pond Point Road, SC 57-2115, a Certificate of Compliance request for the completion of the order of conditions for removal of cesspools and installation of 2 subsurface sewage disposal systems. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was an issue, an ongoing issue on this property regarding some debris cleanup. It still has not occurred. We were notified that the request to postpone this until a time to be determined. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? Okay, no vote. We'll move on. Next up, notice of intent. This has been continued from November 4th, 2025 on 164 Court Street, SE 57-3461, a notice of intent to construct a single-family home with associated utilities, driveway, and site grading. The applicant has requested to continue this project until March 24th, 2026. Just happens to be my wife's birthday. Looking for a motion to continue. Motion by Mr. Diencourt.
I'll second.
Second by Jamie Carpenter. Paul?
Yes.
Jamie? Paul Churchill? Mara?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
I'm a yes. The motion carries. Next up is the 2 I'm guessing everyone's here for. Question on this one, staff. Do you want them completely separate? Or can I have them present both and have public comment for both at the same time? Seeing it is just discussion.
I think it would be better, since they are
Separate.
separately, let's keep it separate.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, first up is 333 Court Street and 39 Hedge Road, SC 57-3465. Notice of intent to construct 2 50-unit residential buildings, paved parking, access road, utility extensions, and stormwater management systems. Anyone here to present?
Sean, if I could, I need to recuse myself from the next 2.
Yep, thank you, Maury.
Good evening. My name is Essex Petrie with Pulte Homes of New England. And just to be clear on that, I was going to present them kind of together as one. Is that comfortable? Our slide deck includes information about both.
That's kind of what I assumed to be a little more efficient, and then, yeah, I mean, are you guys comfortable with that? I think I am. Okay.
It's up to the chair.
Yeah, thank you. All right, you're good.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, we're just trying to get the slide deck pulled up.
And while you do that too, just so the public is aware, this, as it states in the bright red, tonight is discussion only on the part of conservation, and then so everyone's kind of aware. Let me know if I'm wrong on this one, Patrick. So the ZBA will have basically authority over the conservation, over the rules and regulations portion of this due to the 40B project. So we'd give a recommendation to the ZBA based off our rules and regulations. However, we will be voting eventually based off the State Wetlands Protection Act, which is less restrictive than our current ones. Is that about correct, Patrick? Yep. All right.
Thank you very much. Again, good evening. My name is Essex Petrie with Pulte Homes of New England, and I appreciate your time in accepting our request to present to you tonight in this information session about Ocean View North and the Sandy Drive project. Joining me here tonight are Mark Manganello, Assistant Director of Ecological Services from LEC Environmental, who will be managing the bulk of the presentation tonight, as well as Peter Ellison, our lead engineer from the Engineering Corporation. So for tonight's agenda, I will be presenting a high-level summary of the project and the process to date, I imagine that you may have heard of this project in some capacity over the past year or 2 years. So I apologize if some of what I review is old news, but I just do want to make sure that the commission has appropriate context. Then after that, I will turn it over to Mark to talk about the natural resources presentation. The real goal of tonight's meeting, really, as you mentioned, is to present the commission with the project, provide you with a strong understanding of the natural resources in the area and the potential the potential impact on those natural resources associated with our project. So Pulte Homes has been coordinating with the town of Plymouth on this project for over 2 years now. We first started having conversations with Plymouth town officials about what would be possible on this site in December of 2023. And since that time, we have had dozens of meetings with municipal officials and received great feedback from various departments, including conservation staff, planning, DPW, fire, police. We've met and coordinated with many of these groups numerous times. Additionally, we've been engaged with the North Plymouth Steering Committee, attending multiple meetings and exchanging valuable discourse in their recurring meetings. And so all of that feedback really helped inform the project that was submitted to the ZBA. And then since we have submitted the project to the ZBA, we've continued to coordinate with key stakeholders to refine and define the details of the project. As mentioned, unfortunately, we were deterred from officially opening our notice of intent public hearing with the Conservation Commission during the ZBA process, which in my experience has been standard course of action and would have been our preference. In my opinion, the delay really only handicaps the ZBA as they're not able to get the valuable input from this commission during their deliberation process. So as a result of that delay, which we had requested this meeting tonight to allow our team to present to the commission in hopes to inform the collaboration between the two municipal boards. So in addition to coordinating with various municipal staff, we have gone through a lengthy review process with the state. As this is a 40B project, we are required to get a project eligibility letter from Mass Housing. Initially, this project did begin as one project. When we met with Mass Housing, they had requested that we split the project into two for geographic reasons. Hence, we have the Ocean View North project as well as the Sandry Drive project, which resulted in two separate project eligibility letters, which then resulted in the two separate applications to the town of Plymouth. The project site is shown here with the project primarily being located off of Court Street between Hedge Road and Prince Street. Ocean View North consists of two buildings, one off of Court and one off of Prince. And the Sandry Drive project is across Hedge Road from Ocean View North at the end of Sandry Drive. So I'll just give you some quick overview details of the two separate projects, and then I'll turn it over to Mark. So for Ocean View North, the total area is approximately 6.5 acres. Our program consists of two 4-story, 50-unit garden-style buildings. Each of the buildings, again, have 50 units, so it's a total of 100 units in each building. There's a garage under in each of those buildings, and it does include 25% AFU, as this is a 40B project. These are all home ownership units. There's no rentals associated with this project, and it would be a mix of 5 3-bedroom, 22 2-bedroom, and 23 1-bedroom units. These are all electric buildings, and there will be EV spaces provided in the surface lot serviced by dual-headed charging outlets. We have developed a landscaping program based on coordination with the Conservation Department, the plantings being all native and drought-resistant, and each of which recommended by Conservation will be detailed as part of the NOI application. Now just to move to the Sandry Drive location. For those not familiar with Sandry Drive, it is located at the end of Hedge Road across from the Plymouth Bike Path parking lot. Currently, the lot is home to a vacant industrial building complex and associated paved parking and loading areas. The really nice, fantastic seaside trail amenity passes down Sandry Drive directly along the parcel and adjacent to the current vacant industrial buildings. That current situation really creates an uncomfortable atmosphere for the many users that walk and bike along that trail, and we are very excited at the opportunity to transform this area from a blighted vacant industrial area into new multifamily housing. And so just quickly to touch upon the ZBA process, we did submit in August. We have had 4 public hearings to date. We have been going through an extensive peer review process with Apex Engineering, as well as a detailed and thorough review from the town engineer, the fire department, and DPW, as well as the water and sewer department. And we are in the process of finalizing our response to comments and hope to have that final discussion on those comments at our next meeting on February 9th. I anticipate there will be a couple more meetings, but hope to wrap up the response to comments at the next meeting being February 9th. And then with that, I'll turn it over to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm Mark Manganello with LEC Environmental Consultants, based here in Plymouth. So picking up on the Conservation Commission review process, I wanted to reiterate a couple of procedural points that I think are important takeaways for the Commission. Essek touched on the most important one, which is the reason we're here tonight, and that is that because of a Wetlands Protection Act regulation, we cannot open the public hearings with you until we complete the ZBA review process. We're kind of stuck with that. It's not ideal. It is what it is. We're following the regulations. As soon as we can open the public hearing with you, we will. Another important procedural matter, which was also touched upon, but just to give it a little bit more detail, is that as part of the ZBA comprehensive permit process, the applicant's requesting a waiver from your wetlands protection bylaw. So the public hearings and the review, when the notice of intents are opened with you, will be solely under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations, as you mentioned. The third thing is a nuance that's also important, I think, procedurally, that Essek touched on, and that is that there's a peer review happening now of engineering through the ZBA. That includes a peer review of DEP's stormwater management standards, which overlaps directly with your Wetlands Protection Act review. So we anticipate that when we come before you, stormwater management standards will be fully reviewed and all those issues sealed up in a review letter. It will become part of your file, of course, but there's no need to have a second or redundant review of that. We started this process back in 2023 with the Conservation Commission with an ANRAD to get the wetland boundaries on this property reviewed and approved. That resulted in an order of resource area delineation, which is the formal approval of those boundaries. The approved boundaries are shown on the plans submitted to the ZBA and the plans submitted to you all. Thank you. This is the approved wetland boundary plan. So the wetlands are shown in green. Buffer zones are also shown on here. This plan was actually modified to show the approximate location of the 3 buildings. The oval shapes. Don't expect you to drill in super deep to that, but on basic viewing, you can see that those buildings are set back away from the wetlands, especially building number 1 and building number 2 in the bottom of the screen. They are located either in the buffer zone, a small portion of which in the buffer zone, or outside the buffer zone altogether. So building number 1, a small portion of that project is in the buffer zone. Most of it's outside the buffer zone. Building number 2 is entirely outside of the buffer zone. And I'll show you the actual plans for those 2 sites as well. Building number 3 is partially in the riverfront area. It's a previously developed site, very different than the sites of building number 1 and building number 2. Essek mentioned that we met with Patrick to discuss this project. I think that was close to a year ago now. We presented him plans that are very similar to what was submitted and what's being reviewed by the ZBA. He provided us with some recommendations which were incorporated into the plans, including limited irrigation on the property, on each project site, and restoration wherever possible. And we've done that wherever possible, and that includes areas in your jurisdiction and outside of your jurisdiction. For example, wherever there's grading associated with a stormwater management basin, we're not just going to loam and seed the slopes around the stormwater basin. We're going to use a native seed mix to provide wildlife habitat value there. And that's the case, again, wherever there's a graded slope that we could restore with something that provides ecological value, we've done that. There are two notice of intents here. I think Essex made that clear why. That's mirroring the ZBA process. There's one for Ocean View North and one for Sandry Drive. We expect that you will request a peer review under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations. We're completely on board with that. Because of the regulation that prohibits us from opening the public hearings, we can't start that peer review process until we open the public hearing, but we can certainly work with you to get that teed up so that as soon as the public hearing's opened, whoever's going to peer review it their proposal's been submitted and we can just process it at the first hearing. Going building by, or I guess filing by filing, Ocean View North, as I mentioned, only involves minimal activities in the buffer zone. Building number 1's partially in the buffer zone. Building 2 is completely outside the buffer zone. Did I do that? Oh, there we go. Okay, this is an excerpt from the site plans that were submitted to you, zoomed into building number 1. The green here is the buffer zone. The wetland itself is over here. So you can see almost the entire project's outside the buffer zone. This is a stormwater management basin here, where I mentioned that wherever we can, we're using native seed mixes to restore temporarily disturbed areas. Same with some of the slopes around the perimeter. Wherever there's a slope that can be restored, we're restoring it.
Mark, sorry to cut you off. So when you say buffer zone, so everyone's clear, are you talking
Yes.
50, 100?
100-foot buffer
Just wanna
zone.
make sure, okay.
That's what this is. Yep. Because there's no jurisdiction under your local bylaw, we're not showing the local buffer zones. But so this is the 100-foot buffer zone. And here's building number 2. This is the buffer zone here. The wetland is over here somewhere. Again, this entire project is outside of your jurisdiction. The only thing that extends in is this very small utility trench here for a water line. It runs through a previously developed portion of this property up to Hedge Road. That's just temporary disturbance. Sandry Drive, as I mentioned, is a different site. It's previously developed. There's previously developed riverfront area on that property. There's also obviously buffer zone. The project's been designed specifically to comply with the riverfront area performance standards. If you haven't been deep on the performance standards for riverfront area, they have a specific section for previously developed riverfront area. So the standards for previously developed riverfront area are different than the standards for undeveloped riverfront area. Our notice of intent for this project quotes those regs, addresses those regs, and demonstrates compliance with those regs. And the sort of view from above with riverfront area, previously developed riverfront area regulations, is the project has to result in an overall improvement to the riverfront area. The regulatory agencies that wrote the regulations recognized that full compliance was not possible because you have these old mill buildings, you have old warehouse buildings, you have developments that were historically constructed very close to rivers, where if you applied the undeveloped riverfront area performance standards, you'd be restricting development. They want to promote redevelopment in these previously developed areas as long as you can demonstrate an overall improvement. And how do you do that? Well, the number one way you do that is you move the limit of work away from the river. Number 2 is reduce impervious surfaces. And we've done both of those things with the project. The impervious surface reduction is significant. It's 28,900 square feet. And we've increased the setbacks from the wetland to the limit of work as well by removing some of the pavement and proposing to put a rain garden there, which will be vegetated with native species. Another significant improvement here is adding stormwater management. So this existing developed site, there's no stormwater management controls. Presently, stormwater falls on the building, falls on the pavement, and flows into the wetlands and river without any treatment. We're proposing a modern stormwater system. And here's a zoomed-in view of the site plan. I'm actually going to go beyond this by one. This is an aerial photo with the resource areas and buffer zones overlaid on existing conditions. So you can see the existing warehouse building that's been here for many, many, many decades, surrounded by pavement. And when you see the development plan in this area, this is your wetland here, and the river flows through here. In this area here, where the development's closest to the wetland, we're increasing the setback. And then in this entire area, that's where there's that 28,000 square foot reduction in impervious surfaces. And then again, the stormwater management. So the buffer zone is in green here, and the riverfront area is over here. Everything else over here is outside the riverfront area, but this area that's currently part of the building is going to be converted into a rain garden. And then we have a rain garden here. And both of those things improve protection of the resource area significantly, along with the stormwater management standards. So that's an overview of the projects. I think the takeaways here that we'd like for you to take away are the procedural issues. Why are we here? Number one, because we can't open the public hearing because of a regulation. We will open it as soon as we can. The review, when it is open, will be solely under the Wetlands Protection Act, and there'll be no need to do another stormwater management review. That should be done. And then from a regulatory perspective, we have basically 3 project sites here, right, within the 2 NOIs. Building number 1 and building number 2 are almost entirely out of your jurisdiction. Just a bit of building number 1 is in your buffer zone. And this building number 3 on Sandry Drive is within resource areas, but it's been designed to comply with the performance standards and result in a significant overall improvement to protection of those resource areas. So that's our summary. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you. Staff?
Well, thanks, Mark. On regard to, hang on 1 second, let me just go back. We had talked about the sewer pumping station.
Yes.
Was there, did you have a conversation with Pulte regarding maybe redesigning that so it kind of comes out of the, I know it's on the outer buffer zone area?
Yeah, it's right here. It's like a corner of it goes into the buffer zone. It's almost
Right.
entirely out of the buffer zone. I did speak with Pulte and Peter. They might have a better answer than I can. I think there are some logistical issues with moving it anywhere else. That is kind of based on site topography and the configuration of utilities, the only place it can reasonably go. Is that about right?
Yep.
So, good evening. My name is Peter Ellison. I'm a civil engineer with TEC. We knew that this was going to be a comment from town staff, so we did look into it, and we looked into the Title V regulations, and it says that basically the minimum setback from a bordering vegetated wetland to any type of pump chamber or pump system is 25 feet, where in this case we're providing just around right around 100, maybe just shy of 100. And coupling that with the fact, like Mark described, this is kind of the sole location we can do it, just purely due to topography of the site. We feel pretty confident that this location is safe and works. It is a completely watertight system, so there are several layers of alarms built into the system, just in case any, failure of pumps happen. The management company is made aware immediately. So we think there's very little risk from an environmental perspective.
So if I may, at some point, I'd like to recommend if we can have a on-site visit with the commission and staff, and we can kind of talk about this further. You know, again, eyes on the ground. I think, at least from my point of view, I think it would be great to see. I'm not, you know, second guessing your engineering, but I'd like to see that, because I definitely would like to see that pumping station moved further back. Also, in the past, we had talked about, because there was no, in your landscape plan, there was no trees being proposed, and I know that you said that you would kind of look at it. Understandably, I would imagine that the landscape plan will be amended as we go through this process. I definitely would like to see some trees in that area, of course, native.
Yeah, the only limitation we have with trees, and I'm sure we can find some places for trees, the only limitation we have is around these stormwater basins. We can't use deep-rooted
Correct.
plants, right? Can you use it on the back slopes? You wouldn't recommend it, just for maintenance of the stormwater basins. If there are any other areas outside of that where we can use trees, we will, but they typically, not typically, always use a seed mix around the basins for maintenance purposes, right?
And you had, when we met, and this is probably almost a year and a half ago, actually, your presentation says that you would be limiting the amount of irrigation, and I know when we talked originally, I guess I was trying to push like zero irrigation. If you could probably expand on the need, why there would be irrigation, please.
So just to speak to the first part about the trees, that's, we definitely will and anticipate having street trees and other trees planted throughout the area as appropriate. But as far as the irrigation, what we are proposing is limited to just the internal ring around the building, where it will be a sod layer of grass, and just having that location being the only place for irrigation.
And that would be a native grass mix, correct?
I use the word sod, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And that's just going to be like essentially strips of
It would,
grass.
it's essentially a strip, yes, correct,
Correct,
around.
and there are different species of native grasses. We're encouraging the use of that.
And we're certainly happy to look into that. Is that available in a
Yeah, I think
sod?
we had talked about that.
We could
Right.
look at that.
Yeah, sure.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Great, thank you. Before I pass it off to the commission for any further questions, comments, I think I'll lead it off with the one, I'm assuming you guys are aware of the articles in the paper yesterday, today, or the day before about the previously contaminated site abutting your property. Is there anything that has been done to address what's in our jurisdiction as far as core samples or anything to make sure that the site's not contaminated, or is that something that's in works, can be planned out later on?
So as it relates to our specific site and the property that we have site control over, the current owner filed an RDA with the Concom 6 months or so ago to perform, well, so, sorry, I'll take a step back. As part of our due diligence process in looking at the site, we did perform some soil testing. We identified some contaminants in the soil, notified the property owner, as it's their responsibility to remediate. They filed an RDA with the Concom to perform the work as the location was within the buffer zone within the jurisdiction. That remediation is underway. They've removed the soils, and now they're in a monitoring period right now.
Great, thank you. All right, commissioners, questions or comments? Okay, then I'll open it up to the public for any questions, comments. Just state your full name, address, and please leave it to within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, as I'm assuming most people have gone through ZBA and their jurisdiction is a lot wider than ours. Yes, you may.
Good evening, Carol Jankowski, Prince Street. I have a couple of questions. First of all, when it's time to do a peer review of any reports or submissions from Pult Homes, does that mean that you folks are sitting at a desk reviewing a written report, or are you actually ever, I think you alluded to this a little bit, do you do on-site visits?
So
That-
I guess yes and yes, but a peer review is an outside entity that will come in, non-biased, and do a review, correct? An outside agency engineer will be hired by the applicant based off of if we request it to say the concerns. There needs to be an outside entity that has no bias in the application, and then we'll get the report and review it. Does that make- But there will be an on-site visit, like Patrick had mentioned, requesting an on-site visit by the commission as well.
Okay, thank you. Is it okay to ask another question?
Sure.
Again, I'm not an environmentalist or a scientist or a biologist, but I'm wondering that if during the process that has already been conducted, or as it continues, is there anyone that's actually on the property in question, and there's really two parcels, right, that we're referring to, that is looking for rare and endangered species of plants and animals? Or is that not even something that is ever done? Again, I'm new asking these questions, so I'm looking for kind of baseline information.
So typically, I guess when it comes in front of us for the actual notice of intent under the State Wetlands Protection Act, and it would have, if it wasn't 40B and it was under our rules and regulations, the same process would have taken place. The wetland scientists will delineate the entire property, wetlands, species, different zones, natural heritage, and then from there, if there is species, natural heritage, they have to apply to all the different agencies to say, is it a take or no take on the project, meaning would the project adversely impact the natural species that is potentially there? But someone, wetland scientists would have to delineate the whole property and present that to us.
But in this case, that's not been conducted, nor will it, because this is a 40B project? Am I understanding that correctly?
That would be on them to say if it's been done, but it will come in front of us as part of the notice of intent because they cannot bypass the State Protection Act,
Okay.
which requires it.
So that information will be forthcoming?
Correct. That's why
Okay.
I'm misleading. You
Okay.
may.
And,
You can.
sure, you can, no, I don't at all.
Thank you. Thanks. Just to put a little bit more nuance on that. So the way the process goes is when we file a notice of intent, we have to review the Massachusetts Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program's maps for the state. There's a box on the notice of intent form. If the site's been mapped for rare species based on observations of rare species, then there's a process we have to follow. This site has not been mapped. So that doesn't mean there's 1,000% no chance of rare species there. It's a procedural thing under the Wetlands Protection Act that if it's not mapped, there's no further action required.
And is it only mapped if the owner of the property requests that?
No.
Or can the town request that property such as this?
No, it has nothing to do with request. It has to do with data. Someone has to have observed a rare,
Someone,
yes.
a resident?
Could be a resident, could be the property owner, although you can't trespass onto the property. And
Certainly, that's,
yes, and as part of our process, just to be clear, we have been on the property, so we delineated the wetlands out there. That involves us walking through the woods, finding the edge of the wetland boundary. That's inventorying the plants out there, using a soil auger to evaluate the soils, and establishing a point-by-point boundary around the wetland. So,
you were not, just to be clear, you
Yeah.
were not specifically. Sorry, when you ask, can you just make
Yeah.
Thank you. Just to be clear, when you were doing that process, you weren't specifically looking for endangered or rare species. I just want to make sure that that's correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. And can I just make one last comment? So I read the article today in the Plymouth Independent as well, and frankly, I was absolutely blown away that this topic that evidently has been known by many folks, I'm a resident of Plymouth as of 2017, so I was not made aware of this, ever. And I've been at all of the meetings, I think, since the very beginning with the North Plymouth Steering Committee. This topic of a Superfund site feet away, I don't know, from here to that door, I'm not good with measurement, but I walk that trail all the time. So I have been walking by a Superfund site with broken down fencing, so it's not even been taken care of or cordoned off properly, and you can take my word on that. But I am absolutely blown away by the fact that 63 families will be living feet from that area, and that we're not all, standing up and getting upset about it, or calling in experts to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do on the site now, and that it's even, ethical, safe for more families to be living so close. So I think these questions need to be looked into and investigated by the experts. One last thing, and this is with all due respect to Essex and his team, because they're fine people, I know. But at the very beginning of this, there was sort of a suggestion that you guys have been working very carefully with many groups of people. They have. But remember, and I've been at those meetings, at every single meeting, the majority of the people, the only people that I've heard from, are opposing this project. So today's article in the Plymouth Independent is one more very critical reason to ask Pulte, politely I guess, find another place to build.
You may.
Chair, all right, thanks. I would just like to speak just to the comment about safety and the ethics of a residential community, because I just referencing a newspaper article that was written recently, today or yesterday, clearly in that article stated that the site was deemed clean by EPA standards over 30 years ago. It was deemed clean over 30 years ago. A, and B, this is not our property or our site that we are referring to. I just want to make sure that that is made clear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you may, in the back.
Thank you, Board. I'm a native Plymouth resident. I'm 69 years old, and like this lady just said, I live in North Plymouth.
Name and address, please.
All right. Can you hear me now? All right, good. I'm not good at microphones.
No, sorry, she just needs your name and address for the record.
Yep. My name is Robert Pacacci. I live on 52 Liberty Street, which is by Seavers Field. And I've lived in Plymouth all my life. And I never heard about this project. And the only reason I did hear about it was I got a letter in the mail informing me about this meeting and this contraption here, which is, I can't believe that nobody knew about it. It was kept, like the lady was saying, it was kept hush-hush. And there's the bike path that's down there. I think, with the schools, you're going to put a strain on Cold Spring School, and that's been there as long as I've been here. And, you're just going to put an added burden on the taxpayers. My tax bill just went up $200, and all I'm saying is condos going everywhere, and how about build it, have a business, or instead of condos, you could do, it's commercial, so have a company come in and cut our tax rate. I mean, I can't understand, this is kept quiet, and I can't believe it, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone? Yes, in the back? All right, yeah, raise your hand. Do you want? Yeah, you. Come on up. I hate to say you and point, but I don't know your name, so I don't know. My apologies.
Hi, Joyce Daugus, 7 Musterfield. I am part of the endangered species, a native Plymouthian. Lived here all my life. I would like to see a board or people, making these decisions, think about us. Don't think about the guy that's going to take all the money and run. He doesn't live in Plymouth. We live in Plymouth. We want to keep it conserved. You're the Conservation Committee, right? We want to see it conserved. We don't want to see it overbuilt. That's not the place to put 3 huge buildings between the elderly housing on Prince Street that have ambulances, fire trucks, everything going up there all the time. CVS entrance right there, that's a nightmare. And Hedge Road with the fire department there now. It's just not the place for it. Leave it natural as possible, but that's just too much. That's just my opinion, and a lot of other people that I talk to feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Can you see anyone out in Zoom? You can come up. Is there anyone out in Zoom, Debbie, that's raising their hand either?
Oh, hi. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? No, okay. Can you hear me now? I'm a shorty. Can you hear me now? Okay. My name's Heather Philibrown. I am actually not a resident, but I'm an advocate. I would say I'm here just out of concern for what's happening. My family's been here since the first boat. My uncle was the Reverend of Tiltonville and passed away in 2015 of cancer prematurely. And I have seen, in being down here, all of the overdevelopment, which is outrageous, and especially considering that it's been proven, especially recently in the comprehensive plan meeting, that the residents don't want what government officials and developers are doing. I would suggest to anyone to look up what happened in August of 2022 when Randy Parker became the chair and rescinded a whole bunch of things that had been diligently put together for the sake of being able to do exactly what's being done at this point, which is green-lighting a lot of overdevelopment. I can tell you that from hearing about the concern of rare species, there really aren't any anymore because all the overdevelopment has basically killed all the ecosystems, and I will be paying attention to what's happening in the logging of Miles Standish, and you can see all this from satellite view as well. It is really distressing to consider the fact that the opportunity to develop what is limited developable land is actually being quite it's being taken advantage of by the people that will come in and say, well, somebody's got to do it, so they might as well make the most of it. Pulte being, from what I understand, an out-of-state developer, but mass housing backing it, it's really hard. It's going to be really hard for residents, I would say, to do anything about this, to stop it. And I was just recently I went over to Cordage Park. I hadn't been there in decades, and I was absolutely floored by how many buildings are there, just how again, overdeveloped that area has become. So my question would be along the lines of the thought of strain on natural resources, which are definitely being polluted, whether it's nuclear or sand mining stripping natural filtration in the leftover spaces that actually have had trees. I think my biggest problem and with the Conservation Committee and related to Randy Parker and his comments in 2022 is the idea that the residents would, he didn't like the tone of residents trying to boss him around. And if you are not for conservation, you should not be on the conservation committee. So I would like to just point out to any residents that are concerned to look at the comprehensive plan for Plymouth, because it very much backs up what the open space survey that was done in 2024 as well, actually, again, backs up what the residents do not want overdevelopment. And I just came up here from the select board meeting where the school superintendent was expressing the strain on the budget in that regard. So more children, and then the budget not being able to, with all of these initiatives that have been promising to help the tax burden on residents is really not coming to fruition. So there are so many delays and overcomplications and everything else. It's against the residents ultimately, and I would hope that you guys would really do your best to be conservationists and stand up for the residents and what they want, not what other government officials and insiders and AD Makepeace and Pulte and any other ones want. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wait, so other people have their turn. So, yes, did you want to come up? You can just please wait though, so other people have their turns. This might be lengthy. I'll definitely get back to you though. Yeah. Did you want to say something? I know you were kind of leaning to come up.
My name is Manuel Silva, and I grew up in North Plymouth. Manuel Silva. I grew up in North Plymouth. I've seen the changes. I've also been building houses since I've been 17 years old. Okay, and I know that Plymouth has height restricting. So the restrictions that we have, nobody seems to care. Okay? And that area should be put aside for open space. We're talking about this project, and I see that this project, they're talking about buffer zones, and there's no sizes to these buffer zones, unless I misunderstood something. I don't see, is it a 50-foot? Is it a 100-foot buffer zone? Is it 20 feet? Is it 10 feet? We don't even know, because I didn't see that they really brought it up. They
It was
keep on
100, I
bringing it
asked
up,
the question.
Did they have sizes of buffer zones?
It was 100 feet, I asked the question. So that's the state
I don't
wetlands
see it
protection act.
on there. All they have to do is put a size on it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. If I bring something to you, and I'm putting 3 or 4 houses up, you want to see the sizes. I don't see it there. This project is completely out of hand. The height is beyond imagination for the area that it's going into. So I already went to the other meeting, and the meeting had been totally opposed to it. Now, the state steps in, and they wiggle around it. And money does a lot of things. And obviously, there's a lot of money behind this. But it's up to you to also look at every aspect of the situation and put a halt to some of the things that they're talking about. That makes no sense. In general, as far as me being a contractor my whole life and seeing projects go up, I've never seen such a thing. Worrying about storm damage and this and that and, flood areas. And, I can see the area doesn't even, I can't see that the area would accommodate the water that's being dispersed out of that area and then being confined. And I'd like to see pictures of that building, 6 stories high. I'd like to see it. I'm all set. I'm going to oppose this whole situation.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public at this time?
Yes, hello, my name is Nancy Frazier. I live at 32 Hedge Road, Cordage Commons, Unit F. 32 Hedge Road.
All right, thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I am here with some of my neighbors, and as some of you may or may not know, Hedge Road is a dead-end street. The only sidewalk on the street is in front of our property. Streetlights just went up maybe 5 or 6 years ago. This street has become trafficky since Ocean Lighthouse Point was put in. And now we have a new fire station that this town has not even bothered giving them a safety light or a red light for. We welcome the fire station. This street is not even wide enough for the traffic that comes up and down it. Never mind this preposterous idea by Pulte on Sandry Drive. It's beyond ridiculous. And about 2 years, a year and a half ago, Diane, when you came in to do your perk tests, you wrecked our green screen for an entire summer. It was ugly. We moved into this, we invested our money into this small 8-unit townhome complex because it was beautiful. And I don't need anybody ruining my ocean view that I get from my bedroom with a 40B project. And the conservationalists, I applaud you. There have been sightings. I unfortunately don't have pictures or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure if somebody looked hard enough, they're gonna find a piping plover. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that Liz Tracy out in Zoom?
Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Hi. So my name is Liz Tracy. I live on Bourne Street, which is right around the corner. My main concern is this has been a privately owned space for quite a while. So with that being said, I'm such a conservationist. I love nature. I think what we have here in our zone is beautiful, and the rare species are extremely rare and to our ecosystem specifically. I think it would be highly detrimental not to have a serious look at what would be in there. I know nobody has looked in there. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I don't care what rules there are. This is my neighborhood. I live next to the conservation land on the end of Bourne Street, and you walk through there, there's so many species that it would such a shame to see something that's similar to that, but on a coastal area next to the ocean, where there's species that hibernate there, they go there, they migrate there during the season, and to just destroy that area without a proper evaluation is irresponsible for the future of our ecosystem. It truly is. Look at our coast, look at a map above, and see how much coastal land is left along Plymouth. The only one that you'll see is down near Ellisville, and that is it. That's the only one that's been preserved. I think this is honestly horrible. Like, at least look into it. And that's pretty much what I want to say about that. Also, the buffer zone. I was reading the laws for even Massachusetts, and it states that you really can't put anything within a buffer zone. But when you said there's an exception, I didn't see that listed briefly when I read about it. So is there anything that actually would I'm sorry, that was weird. That's not my house. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going to do a pump station right there, I don't understand why you would do a pump station in the buffer zone that is the most precious area next to a wetland where if something leaches, if something spills, that's your pump station. That's pretty irresponsible as well. And I'm sick of seeing all the permits that get given away just because it's Massachusetts and we can do this with the 40Bs. It's not fair. Why can't we stand up against all these exceptions? And I think that's pretty much all on the conservation side that I have to say about much of it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Liz. And just to address I've heard the Massachusetts concern a few times now. There is, for those that are out there, it's been, I forget what the verbiage is this, but it is being up at the Hill. I think it's been about a year addressed, a bill that's been presented to not stop 40Bs, but be a little more restrictive and realize that the conservation commissions have jurisdiction in these areas and did not bypass the local jurisdiction of the conservation. So that's something that is proposed on the Hill right now. But Ms. Edwards, I think you're up next, Karen. You're on mute, Karen. Some things never change. Just kidding. Still muted, Karen. Karen, you're muted.
Okay.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I just want to say thank you to everybody who already spoke, and I agree with all of them. And I'm concerned about, does the Conservation Commission, which I used to be on, have any jurisdiction over the air? Because living at the top of the hill at High Cliff, to have a whole development down there with all the cars and all the energy that it takes to have a place down there, it's the air is going to totally change, and it's going to really affect the entire area. So, are there any conservation restrictions against, the air that we breathe?
Honestly, Karen, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think so, but don't quote me on that. I can definitely do the research on that. I believe it's all land and water, to the best of my knowledge. That's what I'm misspeaking.
Because the air is going to totally change the entire, area, probably for half a mile or a mile, but definitely for me. Anyway, I just wanted to say hi and just tell you that, of course, I'm opposed to it, and I couldn't be there tonight. Thank you for what everybody does, and I hope you're logical about just totally denying this. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. All right, we're going to go back to the room for questions. I believe this. You like something? Yes.
Hi, Love Albrecht, 735 Long Pond Road. May I ask what time of year the wetland survey was done? Okay, thank you. Relative to the arsenic that was found in the soils there and why it's a Superfund site, did I hear you folks say that remediation was underway? Now, currently? On-site remediation.
You may. Thank you.
So yes, I was in reference to the RDA that was filed for the Sandry Drive site. There was, the owner is currently doing remediation, yes. This is not related to the Superfund site. They're two entirely different sites, but they've been mixed together. But they're two entirely, and I don't mean mixed, actual mixed, they've been confused together.
Thank you. And that probably answers the last question I had. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I think some people were thinking the contamination mix. So, yeah. All right. Anyone else? Let's see. I can't see you, but you're in the far left screen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. There you go.
Hi, my name is Alex Cook, and I'm a butter to the project. I'm just logging in now, so I wasn't able to see some of the other public comments, but I believe one of the ZBA members asked for a sort of an independent review, and I just wanted to log on and support that idea. To be honest, I don't have a ton of faith that anything will be done on that front, because with the ZBA, we've been pushing, I would say, like, almost 20 residents have asked for an independent traffic study, and that was only supported by two of the seven ZBA members. So I'm just being candid that I don't really think that this Conservation Committee will do an independent study, although I'd really like to see something like that done. And then there's the other challenge that if you're looking for things like endangered species, that sort of study needs to be done at the right time of the year, much like traffic study needs to be done at the right time of year. I did want to put on the record that in October I had a family party here at my house. I directly abut the property, and in the backyard, sort of on the side of our property, right on the edge of the property, my nephew discovered a salamander, and I looked up what that salamander was because I'd never seen it before, because it was kind of semi-translucent, and I'd never seen it before. and it's a four-toed salamander. And it's not a federally endangered salamander, but I guess it's maybe some members of members of this board might know about that salamander. It's a type of salamander that's right on the edge of endangered, of a special concern. So I just wanted to put that on the record that we found that salamander. I can email some photos over to this board. With all the wetlands, with the documented proof of a semi-endangered species that I've seen, I'd really love to see that study be done. Again, I'm not really feeling a lot of faith in this process, but just want to put that in the record, and I'll get those over to you by email. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to address the independent study, I won't say what my fellow members will vote on, but I'm pretty confident this commission will be requesting that independent study. So, anyone else from the public? I can't see your name. You're in the top left now.
Yes, Nancy Frazier again. Just quickly, the traffic study is imperative.
So unfortunately, that's outside of our jurisdiction. This is where the ZBA and us kind of set ourselves apart a little bit. I mean, we can only consider what's within that 100-foot buffer jurisdiction, unfortunately. Who's the one in the top left? Debbie? I can't see the name. Hold on, there's one more person. I got you.
Bruce Howard.
Yes, yeah, there you go, Bruce.
Good evening. Bruce Howard, 735 Long Pond Road, former member of the Conservation Commission. I unfortunately could not hear the response to Love's question about when the wetland survey was done.
They were not sure, but they'll get back to us.
Okay, because I would suggest that regardless of when it was done, it should be done again this spring to confirm the layout that is being proposed. So I'd be very nervous about the time of year that the survey was done. So the commission could request that the survey be redone at a time of mutual convenience. So it could be visited on site. And then we would know where the wetlands actually are. I was curious, a 6-story building being positioned on sand is really interesting dynamics that I don't think have been explored by the town, what that would be like. I would suggest that the Conservation Commission request a study of how the weight displacement will impact soils and subsurface water, the impact of a 6-story building that close to the waterfront. And finally, I'd like to mention to the commission that you actually have the opportunity, perhaps the responsibility, to reject all requests for structures or activity within the buffer zone. So I hope that you will seriously consider requiring full compliance with all setbacks. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Bruce. Actually, do you want to rebut maybe while it's fresh on?
I found the answer to the question about the time of year. It was September and October. I've been delineating wetlands in Massachusetts for over 20 years. We do it year-round unless the ground is frozen or unless there is snow on the ground. So I can delineate wetlands today. I can delineate wetlands in July. The soils are really the long-term indicator of wetland conditions.
Thank you. Yep. Before I have you, he's got to come up. He's been waiting a while before I have you retalk.
Hi. My name is Robert Bacacci, and what are you talking about? I don't know if any of you realize, but there's a group home that's stationed on that road. And, you know, you got the guys that are, you know, in the group home that are special needs. And I see a couple of them coming to St. Mary's Church, and, you know, I see them at the mall walking, but having this traffic going up and down that road and having those kids, you're asking for trouble. And one more. When this gentleman was talking about the, you know, with the foundation, where I live right now, we had a problem with that on one of the units. And, you know, they had to do something for it. You know, they were built in '93, and you're going to have the same problem with this.
Thank you. Yes, you.
Love Albrecht, 735 Long Pond Road. The gentleman who mentioned the salamander, that's a species of special concern, made me think that that shrub swamp designation that's near properties, parcels 1 and 2, might be a vernal pool, and I realize state jurisdiction is 100 feet, but local is 200 feet on either side of that. Just bearing that in mind.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public at this time? Don't see any hands out in Zoom. Okay, bring it back if you guys want to address anything before we close out this discussion-only meeting.
No, I think that we presented as much as that we were intending to tonight. Again, appreciate the commission agreeing to allow us in here tonight to present the information. And, you know, as we advance through the ZBA process, you know, it would be great for that coordination between the commission and the ZBA to happen. And again, thank you for your time tonight. And thank you again for everybody that's attending and for all the comments.
All right, thank you. Do I officially close this to the public, seeing that this will be reopened as a notice of intent someday, or are we going to leave this open for further discussion events?
That's up to the chair. If,
Okay. I can close it.
But I think the motion to, for a 53G consultant probably would be the next thing in order.
Okay, then I will close it to the public at this time. And is someone going to make a motion for a 53G, or did that have to be during the notice of intent procedure? That's the way I was alluded to happening.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Would it?
I thought the motion for the 53G consultant was going to happen during the notice of intent. You want it to happen?
No, you could request to, so that we can move forward with it, at least be ready for it.
Okay.
Because it's going to take some time to get someone qualified who wants to do this job.
Yep. Okay. Did you have something while you were standing?
No, I just, I didn't know if it was going to require any sort of acknowledgement from us, but that would be great, as we noted. Thank you.
All right. So then I'll be looking for a motion for a 53G consultant on this project.
Sean, I'll make a motion to request a 53G consultant for peer review for this project.
All right, we have a motion by Jamie, second by Paul Churchill. Jamie?
Yes.
Paul Churchill?
Yes.
Mr. Dienkor?
Yes.
Mara?
Yes.
Maury is abstained, Amber is absent, and I am a yes. The motion carries. All right, next up, under Other, Conservation Commission to vote to accept the property into their custody and control as open space. Land located on Bogside Drive, Highview Road, Acon Trail, Hollis Road, Edgewater Drive, Beaver Dam Road, assessors parcels map 75, lot 9-31 to 35, 9-29 and 30, 9-38 and 39, 9-44, 9-36, 37, and 9-40, known as Gilmore Cranberry Company Bogs.
So you guys don't have to motion that. We're going to continue that because we didn't get the correct, we didn't get the paperwork from David School's office for you guys to review that yet.
Well, at least I know how to read
So
the whole
that'll
thing.
probably be on the January 27th.
Okay. Then next up is discussion from Vanessa requesting letter to Wetlands Trust, Ship Pond Road paving petition.
Okay, hello, good evening. I'm online tonight, sorry I couldn't be there. Just following up, there's really nothing from my side. I sent the letter as requested on December 4th to the commission. We filed our petition with the Board of Selectmen on December 23rd. Our petition was handed in, so that's it from my side, and if you have any updates other than that, I think we're proceeding ahead.
Okay. Staff?
Staff has no comment at this time. Thank you.
So what's the discussion from here?
So, we remember on the prior meeting, you asked for background on what we're intending to submit, noting that there's conservation land, right? That borders the, that are abutters on the other side of the 5 residents who are all in favor of paving the road in front of their home. 5 out of 5 residents are in favor that live on this stretch. And we provided that background. You know, since we submitted the petition to the town, the road review process will be initiated, and it will call on the commission, I'm sure, because there's a conservation land, conservation restriction held by the Wildlands Trust, and because the Plymouth Conservation Commission does hold and is in a butter in lots 11A and 11B on the assessor's map 065, that you will be, you know, probably required to engage and be part of this roads review process. So have you talked to the Wetlands Trust? Have you made any progress? Have you reviewed the letter? There should be a comment from, you know, you asked for more background, and we submitted our petition, so where do we stand?
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, are we looking to vote that we don't have a problem with someone paving it? Is basically what you're looking for, ma'am? Are you looking for a vote that we don't have a problem with that land being paved to these people that have petitioned for it?
Yeah, because we did turn in our petition, and 5 out of 5 residents that are abutters on the residential side are in favor, and we just want a little bit of engagement from the Conservation Commission, who owns a lot 11A and 11B, who are abutters on the other side. You know, the road review process only requires 75% of abutters, and that's okay, it's gonna move forward, but we've been engaging with the town since July of 2025, and we just, we don't know there's, you know, the stance, the position. Like I said, all 5 out of 5 households that are directly in front of it want it. I think that speaks volumes, and we provided the background, and we provided a letter. We handed in our petition. Where do you stand at talking with the Wetlands Trust that holds the conservation restriction?
So, Sean, I'd be up for putting a vote as where we stand as far as, and these people just want to, they're taxpayers, and I guess they're just looking to be able to petition the town without our opposition to being able to drive home on a non-dirt road. So I can make a motion, I guess, Sean? Is that correct?
Unless there's any further questions, comments from the commission.
Yes, Sean, if I could. I believe what the petitioner is asking for is for a letter from us to Wildlands Trust, and in communication by myself with Wildlands Trust. I understand their policy has been over the years that they will only respond to finished architectural plans or engineered plans. And based on that, I don't think that we should be necessarily trying to force their hand into an opinion where they've had a long-standing policy of not commenting on a project unless they're responding to actually engineered plans. And so unless there's engineered plans, I don't believe that we should be trying to force Wildlands Trust hand in this.
I don't think that we're forcing anybody's hand. I believe it's because the conservation is we have conservationship of the land that this road goes across. How are we forcing Wildlands Trust? I don't quite get that. Maureen?
I believe that in the original letter, as I remember reading it, she was asking us to send a letter to Wildlands Trust to get a response.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was
for
what her
interpretation
original letter,
of the
that's what the
conservation
original letter
area.
called for.
All right, that's... Yeah, I personally wouldn't get involved with Wildlands Trust. It's different than I thought she was asking.
Vanessa, can you clarify exactly what kind of letter you're looking for from us?
Sure. We were just looking for an interpretation of the conservation restriction, and we were told from Wildlands Trust that that had to come through the Plymouth Conservation Commission, and therefore that's why we were asking for an interpretation. We're not asking. We know that Wildlands Trust does not want to pave that particular parcel. We're well aware of that. We're not asking for them force any hands for voting or anything like that. We're just trying to understand the landscape and the administrative process that's probably going to come down anyways, because we did hand in our petition to the town, and part of the roads review process will be to interpret this conservation restriction. So we were just trying to get ahead of it and have a healthy dialogue with Wildlands Trust to understand this conservation restriction and what is allowed for paving, for example, that sort of thing. But if you rather wait and have it be initiated through the roads review process, that's fine too. We really were just giving a background because the Conservation Commission is in a butter, like I said, lots 11A and B, so you should be part of this conversation. And there's a conservation restriction for lot 10, a conservation restriction on lots 11A and 11B, and therefore we're just trying to move this process along a little bit more, streamlined. But if you rather wait for the roads review process to take its form and shape, that's fine too. I'll defer to the Conservation Board on that.
Yeah, but I think that's probably, in my opinion, the best course of action is because if it does get approved, then we're just wasting our time here. But if it gets approved, then they'll petition to us, because it's our jurisdiction, to go through the process of the notice of intent and then the restriction and everything else. I don't know if you guys have any other.
Sean, are you accepting public comment on this? Because we do have one raised hand.
I mean, it is other, so I guess yeah, sure. Is that Bruce?
Yes, good evening again, Bruce Howard, 735 Long Pond Road. Did I drop off?
Nope, you're good.
Good. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Morrison on his recollection of the sequence of events. The survey needs to be done along the road because that is entirely Wildlands Trust property along that north boundary. So once the engineering is done, then I think you can expect that Wildlands Trust will respond formally to the request around the conservation restriction and whether or not they'll let the project proceed. I think it's unfair to prejudge what they may come out and say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Matt, yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV either. But I took upon myself to get a copy of the CR and I read it through. And not being a lawyer, I can't understand it. I've also read your letter with arguments for paving. Since we're not lawyers, do we have the ability to ask town council to interpret the CR for us as to whether paving is permitted or not permitted?
I'm guessing that would happen during the process before it gets to us, correct? If someone's requesting to have road paved, the town's going to go and say, okay, can we pave this road? What are the restrictions? And then I'm guessing, Patrick?
So the CR is held by the Wildlands Trust, so it would be their say. And the issue is that I think Vanessa is requesting the Conservation Commission to draft a letter, and you would vote on whether this letter gets drafted to request from the Wildlands Trust to review the CR to see whether this paving request is even allowed or it's a prohibited use on that property. Having said that, there needs to be an engineered survey of the road layout, because before a decision or any actual real discussion should be made whether something is allowed or not, you got to find out what is the baseline. Is the road layout within the CR, within the confines of the bounds of that property? No one knows that at this time because there's no survey plan for that side of the road. So we can make a lot of assertions, assumptions, and maybe none of it is required. Maybe it does. We don't know. And that's why the argument keeps coming back. Well, get an engineered plan so we have some science, some definitive facts in front of us, and then the decision can be made like, okay, the road layout does go through the property, which is held by, which is encompassed by the CR. Now we have that conversation to move forward to Wildlands Trust, say, okay, this section is within the CR. Can what Vanessa is requesting can be done or not? Because if there is a survey done and come to find out that all aspects of the potential paving infrastructure with stormwater and so on is outside of the property line, then there's no issue.
Yep, makes sense to me. Any other questions from the commission on this? Okay, so it sounds like, Vanessa, we're going to wait and hear.
Yeah, my understanding is the roads review, we submitted our petition, the roads review process will get underway. This is more of a courtesy to keep the Conservation Commission, of course, engaged and involved, as you all are abutters, and there is a conservation restriction in play, potentially. So we'll keep moving forward. We're also talking with the Roads Advisory Commission, of course, to perform that engineering study, and Mr. Richard Bossy, town engineer, to get in line to have the road surveyed. So that will, I was told that will occur, but we just have to kind of wait our turn, and we'll certainly do that. So yeah, we're kind of just in a holding pattern, but at least we turned in our petition and we're moving forward. So at least it's not a surprise if the town planning board or the select board or the DPW department does ask the conservation for something. At least it's not a shock and a surprise that we did turn this petition in, and I think we'll just leave it there. And if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer those, and we look forward to the next steps in the process. So thank you.
No, thank you. Next up, staff violation update. Is there one tonight, Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Specifically, nothing. No updates tonight, with the exception of this time last year, we had roughly 74 violations that were open. We are down to 10. So we have made progress, some through attrition, some through enforcement, many through enforcement, and most of them through some sort of compliance action.
Copy. No, great
So
job.
we're in a good place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrative duties, approval of meeting minutes of November 4th, 2025. Commissioners.
I reviewed the minutes in detail. I found one spelling mistake. One letter was missing.
Man, it's unbelievable.
So I gave it to Debbie, and she fixed it. I also checked to make sure they spelled your name right, and they did. So I recommend approval of the minutes of November 4th.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Diencourt.
I'll second.
Second by Maury. Paul?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Mara?
Yes.
Jamie? Paul Churchill? I'm a yes. The motion carries. Approval of meeting minutes of November 18th, 2025.
I also reviewed them. Once again, there was a one-letter spelling mistake, which has been corrected. I now recommend we move to accept the minutes of November 18th.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Diencourt.
I'll second.
Second by Maury. Paul?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Jamie? Paul Churchill? Mara? Yes. I am a yes. The motion carries. No meeting on the 20th. See you guys back on the 27th. Is there anything to be added to a future agenda before I close? Okay.
Sean, can we close this meeting tonight?
I will second your motion to adjourn at 08:27 p.m. All in favor? All right.